Today I want to talk about the Trump tariffs, the good news and the bad news. Firstly, the decision by the man-child, the moron that is Trump, the man with the intellect of a Happy Meal, the decision to start a trade war is, according to the Wall Street Journal, the dumbest trade war ever. And before this started at all, there was not an economist on the face of the planet who was capable of rational thought, logical thinking and syllogistic reasoning who thinks the imposition of tariffs was a good idea. And now it's come to pass. The carnage is there for everybody to see. Even to talk about the imposition of trade tariffs spooked the markets. And you had the Dow Jones and the S&P 500 and the European markets down 2% the first day or two. But now it's absolute carnage. $250 million, $250 trillion, I beg your pardon, $250 trillion has been wiped off stock markets since Wednesday with the announcement of the Trump tariffs. And that moron then on Thursday has gone to play golf. That's the bad news. The good news is it's a good time to buy shares, simply because there is a blip there at the moment due to the uncertainty, due to the tariffs, due to the uncertainty as to how Europeans, Chinese, Canadians, etc. will respond. But it is probably a good time to buy shares. That's assuming you have a philosophy about shares of medium to long term investing. And that's the only way I believe you should view investments in shares, as a medium to long term endeavour. And over a period of time, 30 to 50 years, you will inevitably see every 5-6 years some event on a 5-yearly, 6-yearly basis, some event which will set the market back temporarily, but the overall trend will be up. And then on a less frequent basis, you will have a cataclysmic recession which will set the market back even further. That happens less often. But in the ordinary course of events, if you're buying shares and holding shares, and you take a view that the market is, or should be, or the view should be a medium to long term view, well then your shares will do well over a period of a lifetime, over a period of 30 to 50 years. That's the sort of time frame you should be looking at. But if you're on the fence now and you're wondering or thinking about getting into them or not, then now is just a temporary opportunity to get started with your share investment. So I would recommend that, and because the markets will be sold and are being sold at the moment due to the uncertainty. So I would consider or advise you, if you're considering investing in shares at any stage, I'd advise you to consider now is a good time to get started, simply because of the massive shock that the markets have felt worldwide in the last week or so. Firstly, with the talk about the Trump tariffs, and secondly with the actual announcements. And now we're looking at the third phase, the uncertainty about the responses from Europe and China and elsewhere. So I, as it happens, have a course created. It's an online course about investing in shares. It's an educational course. It's on Gumroad, and I think it's pretty useful. Yeah, as I was saying there, I think now is a good time to buy shares. I have a significant investment in shares myself, And I will admit, I've actually been afraid to log into my account over the last few days because I know it will put me in bad humour. And this entire setback, this equivalent of Brexit for the Irish situation, was entirely avoidable. And it's all down to the ego and narcissism of one man, and that is that moron Trump, that man-child. But there's nothing we can do about that now. We are where we are. The squeeze is going to come on him from his own people, from constituents, Republican voters, MAGA voters in the United States, when they begin to see the practical effects of the trade war hitting home in the likes of Walmart and Costco and places where people buy their day-to-day groceries and stuff. And when you see, or when they see, the MAGA followers, when they see the cost of living taking off like a skyrocket, inflation taking off as a consequence of these catastrophic tariffs, then you'll see the pressure coming on Republicans, on Republican politicians, and then you might see some action, some reversal. But until that happens, this moron is going to indulge his narcissism and his penchant for show business, and that's all it is. And to be clear about tariffs, tariffs are taxes. Trump campaigned on lowering taxes, doing away with taxes, campaigned on the price of eggs for ordinary Joes and Josephines, and yet he's now going to be the single biggest instigator of inflationary pressures in the United States and in the world economies. Consequence of that, of course, would be rising interest rates in order to try to keep or get inflation under control. It's a catastrophic situation economically, and as I say, the Wall Street Journal has described it as the dumbest trade war ever, and there's not an economist alive who thinks tariffs are a good idea, or think that the outcome that Trump is talking about is going to come about. It's not. You're going to have economic carnage. So, and one other thing, tariffs are to do with protectionism and isolationism and so on. And we've had global trade, globalization for the last number of years. And even though many people would be critical of globalization and so on, the alternative, isolationism, is an appalling idea. And I saw a tweet there today in relation to an interview Michael O'Leary gave just recently about the trade tariffs, and he made the valid point that if isolationism worked, North Korea would be one of the wealthiest economies and societies on the face of the planet. But we all know that's not the case. We all know that places that did really well were places that traded on a European-wide and worldwide basis. Trade is good. Interacting and engaging with other countries and trading across borders is good. But unfortunately, this man-child that is Trump thinks that he has reinvented economics. He hasn't. It's going to play out, but in the meantime, I'm just saying, from a purely selfish perspective and from a purely opportunistic perspective, it's actually a good time, if you're on the fence and had a few bob, to invest in shares. And if I was buying shares at the moment, well, I'm not going to say what I'd buy, but all you have to do is basically buy the market, buy a cross-section of shares, pick 5, pick 10, understand what the companies do, and sit tight and wait, buy and hold. That's my philosophy. If you're interested in the course, my educational course about shares, there will be a link underneath this video on YouTube, and also there's a link on my website businessandlegal.ie. The course is just educational about shares and sets out the shares that I've bought over the last number of years, what my philosophy is, and I explain then as well a lot of concepts and the vocabulary of shares and what various formulae mean and so on and so forth. But you can have a look at it, check out the course. It's an online course, there's a lot of videos in it, I can't remember exactly how many. I'll put a link underneath this video on YouTube, and there's a link on my website businessandlegal.ie. Have a look at it. Sure, there's plenty of, or some tedious individuals who will leave comments down below this video when I mention my shares course, going on about me exploiting the fall in the stock markets, or exploiting the trade tariffs, or exploiting the situation. If you're interested in investing in shares, this is a good course. It's educational. I'm proud of it. If you're not interested in investing in shares, that's fine. There's nobody strong arming you. Just jog on. But you think, making a comment about me exploiting the crash or anything of that nature is going to make a blind bit of difference. It really won't. It really won't. The course is useful. It's educational and it sells well, and I know many people have got good value out of it, and I know many people are interested in investing in shares but don't have much knowledge or information about it. That's what it's about. Just my old petrol station across there now, across the road. Anyway, hope you liked the video. If you do, hit the thumbs up button down below. Be interested to hear your comments. And if you're a Trump supporter, we told you he has the intellect of a Happy Meal, and you didn't agree. You wouldn't listen, but you're going to be listening when you're out of a job as a consequence of his childish, moronic economic policy. Anyway, hit the thumbs up button down below. Thanks a lot.